Mania, I'm sure, but Senator Betts, you have the call.
Thank you, Chair. How many ABC news bulletins advise the public of the refusal by ABC staff to forego a 2% wage increase?
I can't tell you how much.
All right, take that on notice, but I think you'll find it a relatively small figure. That might be a zero, but it'll be interesting. What was the stance of the management team to this proposal? Did they advocate amongst the staff that this would be a good proposal to vote for or against?
Senator, look, I think we took, as a management team, collectively, I mean, individual people might...
Well, for or against, time's pretty brief. I don't want to...
Well, I think we took a similar position to the board, but it was the board's decision that the board sets the staff paying conditions for the organisation. So that was deliberated by the board from the April board meeting ahead of ministerial advice.
What was the management team's approach? Was it for or against the deferral or rejection of the 2%?
Given it was a board decision, Senator, we didn't need to make a decision at management level, but I think management supported...
Did you advocate
We supported
for it?
The board taking this to a vote.
Did you advocate to a vote, but with the vote, were you advocating a vote for or against the 2%?
We weren't advocating either way, Senator.
Right.
We were respecting the fact that these people had a right to vote. They had a right to receive that pay rise under what had been passed by Fair Work, and therefore could make up their own mind.
Understand all that, but you took no role in it. That says enough, unfortunately. Can you tell us how much the 2% pay increase will cost the ABC? Take that on notice. Is the ABC a state-owned media and cultural organisation? Would that be a fair description?
No, I wouldn't use the phrase state-owned. The answer to your previous question was $5 million, by the way.
Sorry?
It was $5 million.
$5 million.
One-off saving had staff voted to defer.
Thank you. All right. Can I ask you to look at question 2021, a question on notice where a number of questions were asked about the ABC's involvement with Shanghai Media Group, and questions 7 and 11 in particular, where I asked, was the ABC aware that the Shanghai Media Group was associated with the Chinese Communist Party? I got the answer, the ABC was aware at the time the agreement was signed that SMG was a state-owned media and cultural organisation. That does not answer the question. Was the ABC aware that the SMG was associated with the Chinese Communist Party? Answer either yes or no.
Well, Senator, I wasn't managing director or involved in it, but I would guess that yes, the ABC would have known what it was doing at the time when it entered into that.
Was it aware that the SMG was associated with the Chinese Communist Party?
Well, I'd like to think so, Senator. I can't answer that definitively because I wasn't part of the MOU.
All right, can you take it on notice and find out from the people that were involved in that, and also for question 11, where the involvement of the Chinese Communist Party was studiously avoided in the answer, although that is all that was in fact asked for in the question. Are you able to update us on the current state of the child sex abuse case against former ABC employee John Stevens? Has the case been settled?
Yes, Senator.
Has an apology been provided?
Yes, Senator.
And how much has it cost the taxpayers?
Senator, the matter's been settled on a mutually acceptable, confidential terms without admission of liability. I want to...
All right, what are the legal costs that have been incurred? If you can take that on notice for us, thanks. Now, the ABC recently lost a technical case, as I understand it, against Racing New South Wales. Is that correct?
I think that case is still ongoing. I don't know.
Oh, the case is still ongoing, but yes, there was a technical aspect of it, which I understand the ABC lost, because the ABC sought to seal internal communications that could support a claim it acted with malice by splicing footage of racehorses in an abattoir into an interview with a New South Wales racing chief. Anybody got any advice on that? If,
No, other
if
than the
not,
case-
take it on notice, please. And if that is correct, tell us how much of taxpayers' money was spent on this failed defence. And also on notice, please provide a detailed justification for running this defence. And also on notice, how does this dovetail with the ABC's support of the Right to Know campaign? Can I then ask you about Mr. Sandman in the United States? Does that name ring a bell to you? The young fellow who was accused of racism and vilified by the US media?
No, Senator.
Right, well, take that on notice, because some of your programs mentioned things that when the footage was shown, the young man showed pure hate on his face and other vilification or other vilifying statements made against him. And it has now come to pass that the vision was in fact adopted and it was fake news, and the young man has been getting literally millions of dollars of defamation from all the US media outlets that wanted to think the worst about this poor young man. And so I'm asking on notice, what has the ABC done in relation to fact-checking these things, correct the record and apologise to this man? And have you made any contingency in your budget for defamation proceedings should he bring them across here as well, as he has so successfully done in the United States? Now, talking of court cases, I turn to the coverage of Cardinal Pell. The corruption allegations, which suggest that cash transfers of over $1 million from the Vatican to Australia linked to the failed Pell prosecution, was covered by 3 Italian papers, the Times of London and Australian newspapers. On notice, can you tell us what coverage did this receive on ABC news bulletins? Take that on notice. And then, or take that on notice for us. And did Ms Milligan, an ABC journalist, even tweet her displeasure that the issue was actually being discussed by other media outlets? Do we know the answer to that?
No, I don't watch.
All right,
Mr. Milligan's
please
Twitter feed, so-
take that on notice. And how does this then, if she did so, how does that then dovetail in with ABC standards? And is this the same as Milligan that wrote the book Cardinal, The Rise and Fall of George Pell? I assume there's a sequel coming out, The Rise and Fall and Resurrection of George Pell, but I will just make that as a rhetorical comment. But this is a journalist who wrote a book before the trial of Cardinal Pell, tweeting about now these corruption allegations, which of course would sink the whole thesis of her book. It would appear unprofessional, but I will reserve judgment on that and await all the answers that you'll provide us on notice on that. Also on the Cardinal Pell case, the 7-0 decision of the High Court, decisive, one judgment, spoken with one voice, including the words, "There is a significant possibility an innocent person has been convicted." Yet we had ABC presenters tweeting, "High Court has found not enough evidence to convict. It didn't find him innocent." Don't we have the rule of law in this country where if you're found not guilty, you are then entitled to a presumption called innocence?
Senator, I agree with you with regard to the rule of law. I will note that at the time that the judgment came down, Joe O'Brien read that out in full at the time on the news channel. As per, I understand your question with regard to personal
very short,
tweeting.
and so please just take all that on notice. Can I move on to the ABC radio feature called Lone Soldier, which aired on the 1st of August. It was posted on the ABC's Facebook page and attracted some, I'll describe them as unfortunate commentary in relation to anti-Semitic comments. It was about people serving in the Israeli army. And can I ask, on notice, can you provide an explanation on the moderating process on the article and the Facebook posts? And why weren't some of these comments deleted more quickly? Some were retained there for days. And does this meet your expectation on content moderation? And then can I just ask, not on notice, does the ABC currently use or have plans to use the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance working definition of anti-Semitism to assist in content moderation? Mr Anderson, you may recall I asked you at the last estimates about that. You hadn't heard of it, and I invited you to consider it for your editorial policy. Where have we got with that?
Senator, so immediately after estimates, we did talk to it. I found out, I read about it. Where we've got to as to whether or not we've included that definition or not with regard to editorial policies or amended our editorial policies, I don't believe we have. But
well, could I invite you to reconsider it and take it on notice to us, or come back to us on notice as to why or why not that has been adopted? And whilst on Israel, we had this groundbreaking international Abraham Accords, which was broadcast live by many news outlets because of its newsworthiness. Did the ABC broadcast the signing live?
I'll have to get back to you on notice.
All right, if not, why not? And is it correct that the news bulletins on this led with outrage at the signing by extreme Muslim elements rather than a celebration of another step towards stability in the Middle East? If you can take that on notice. And whilst we're on broadcasting or not broadcasting, the Queen's historic COVID-19 speech was broadcast live on channels 7, 9, 10 and 11 and in every other Commonwealth country, yet our national broadcaster saw fit not to do so. Can you please tell us why, given that in Her Majesty's reign of 68 years, there have only been 5 such broadcasts on international type crises? I would have thought it'd be worthy of a live broadcast, but if you can let us know on that. And can I then turn to the Power of Falun Gong, I think it was a Four Corners program, which received praise from Beijing. And of course, Falun Gong practitioners in China are prisoners of conscience who have their organs forcibly harvested, and that has been shown now by Jeffrey Nice QC's China Tribunal inquiry. And praise was forthcoming from Beijing before it even aired in Australia. Are you able to tell us how that occurred?
No, I'm not, Senator.
All right, take it on notice, see what you can find.
This is meant to be your last question.
All right.
Thank you.
Can you give us on notice a split of the times given to, if you like, the pro-Falun Gong and anti-Falun Gong views in this particular program? And is it correct that the pro-Falun Gong people were only asked 4 days before the program went to air? Is that indicative of an afterthought rather than thinking about a balanced program from the very beginning? And I think that's got about 100 commas in it, that question, to abide by the Chair's ruling. A stack of other questions which regrettably will need to go on notice. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Senator Betts. Senator Patrick, you have the call.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. I apologise if I might ask some questions that have already been asked. As an